반갑습니다.
우리 교수님은 사실 저번 이 대선 때 한 3년쯤 됐나요? 영상으로 대화를 한번 한 적이 있는데 이렇게 직접 뵙고 보니까 참 영광입니다.
Thank you.
사실 교수님이 가지고 계신 이 AI에 대한 저는 약간의 이제 우려를 많이 하시는 느낌이었는데 저도 사실은 이게 두 가지 가능성이 동시에 있다고 생각해요. 예를 들면 인간 삶의 유용한 기술로 자리 잡을 가능성, 또 하나는 인간에게 근본적 위협을 가할 가능성, 이 두 가지가 동시에 있다고 봅니다. 그중에 저는 이제 정치를 하는 사람입니다. 현실 문제에 관심이 좀 높아서 이게 인류 역사를 보면 기술 발전의 역사이기도 하고 노동 생산성이 향상되어 온 역사이기도 하고 또 한편으로 보면 인간의 노동 시간이 단축된 역사이기도 한 것 같습니다. 그래서 이게 노동 생산성, 산업 생산성 극도로 높일 텐데, 올릴 텐데, 그게 한편으로 보면 결국 인간의 생산에 대한 기여라고 하는 것을 줄인다는 의미이기도 해서 일반적으로 보면 일자리가 대폭 줄어들지 않겠느냐. 인간의 역할이 대폭 줄어들어서 결국은 대체적으로 많은 사람들이 일자리를 잃지 않을까? 과거에 예를 들면 산업발전 단계에서는 기술 발전만큼 새로운 일자리가 생겼는데 이번에는 예외가 되지 않을까 하는 우려들이 많이 있습니다. 이 교수님은 이 점에 대해서 어떻게 보고 계세요?
We don't know for sure. There will be jobs in the future, but we don't know which jobs. It's the first time in history that we really have no idea how the job market would look in 10 years, which means that we don't know what to teach young people. Some people say, this is the computer age, teach them how to code. But AI learns how to code. Maybe in 10 years, you don't need human coders because AI codes better than humans. So this is a big difficulty. Now, in history, the problem with revolutionary technology is often not the destination, the final outcome of the revolution. The problem is the way there. If you look at the technology of the Industrial Revolution, steam engines, electricity, the internal combustion engine, in the end, you can say that industrial societies were better than agrarian societies that came before, that we now have a lot more prosperity. Even the common workers usually have a better life than 200 years ago. So the destination in the end was good, but the way there was the problem. Because when industrial technology first emerged, people didn't know how to build industrial societies. There were huge mistakes made, and there was huge inequality between those who adopted the technology first and those that came later. And we saw, for instance, that in the 19th century, the few countries that industrialized first, they conquered and exploited the whole world for a century or more. This can happen again with AI. AI can create big inequalities within society and also even bigger inequalities between different countries if just a few countries, most clearly the USA and China, monopolize the AI, and there will be a lot of wealth and a lot of jobs in California or in Shenzhen, but very few jobs anywhere else. So the question is not just what will be the final destination of the AI revolution. The question is, how do we make sure that the road there is a good road and is beneficial to everybody, not just to a few people in a few countries?
그 교수님 말씀 잘 들었습니다. 이 실제로 많은 사람들의 우려가 결국 불평등에 귀착될 것이다. 지금도 전 세계적인 이 불안, 극단주의 이런 것들의 주 원인이 이 경제적 불평등, 양극화에 있다는 주장이 많습니다. 저도 사실 거기에 많이 공감을 가지고 있어요. 이제 어떻게 극복할 거냐. 저는 일단은 이게 일자리를 나누는 노동시간을 개개인의 노동시간을 단축하는 방향으로 가는 것이 일단 하나의 방법이라고 생각이 되고, 또 한 가지는 결국은 엄청난 자본을 투자하는 이 거대 기업, 정말로 기술 개발 능력이 있는 소수의 뭐라 그럴까, 뭐 선택된 사람들, 이 사람들만이 엄청난 부를 누리게 될 가능성이 높지 않습니까? 그러면 이걸 제지할 수도 없고, 그렇다고 여기에다 세금으로 하는 건 저항이 심할 수 있고, 그렇다고 거기서 엄청난 일자리가 생기는 것도 아니고, 결국 저는 또 하나의 방법으로 이 생각을 해봤어요. 결국 국가 공동체가 이 산업 발전에 지금은 되게 지원을 했는데, 공공 부분에서 투자를 해서 그 수익의 이익을 상당 부분을 나눌 필요가 있지 않냐, 좀 쉐어할 필요가 있겠다. 그래서 얼마 전에 제가 예를 들면 알 수 없는 영역에 인공지능 관련 산업 또는 기업의 대규모 투자를 국민의 국부펀드로, 국민의 자본으로, 국가 자본으로 투자를 해서 그 지분을 상당 부분 확보하는 게 어떨까. 세금을 걷는 것도 하나의 방법이지만 아예 사업 자체에 공공이 참여하는 건 어떨까, 이런 생각을 해봤습니다. 이건 어떻게 생각하십니까? 제가 그 얘기했다가 공산주의자라고 비난을 많이 받았어요.
I'm not an economist, so I can't offer an expert opinion on such economic matters. What I can say is that very often in these situations in history, you have to overcome resistance from the big corporations and the big companies that they tell you, you cannot do it except the way we want to do it. And again, if you look at, say, the 19th century, so during the Industrial Revolution, the big companies, they used child labor. They sent children aged 8, 10, 12 to work in factories, in coal mines, something I think that you personally have also experienced. And when you tell the companies, you know, this is not a good idea, it's better to send the children to school, the companies say, no, this doesn't make economic sense. If we spend so much money on sending children to school, whereas our competitors don't, in other countries or in other companies, they send them to work at age 8, we will be left behind in the economic race. And this was a very strong argument. But in the end, people realized that actually sending the kids to school at age 10, it's not only the ethical thing to do, it's also make good economic sense. That it's much more, the country will be much more rich in the end if you send 10-year-old kids to school to get a good education than if you send them to the factory to work. So this required government action to tell the companies, you can't employ children, and this required a lot of government investment because somebody need to build this huge educational system. But in the end, it also made very good economic sense. And we are now in an analogous, in a similar situation. Of course, it's very different this time. We can't just repeat the same formula that worked 50 years ago or 100 years ago, but the principle that we need government to step in is important because, as I said, nobody knows what the job market would look like in 10 years. What we do know is that it will be very volatile, fluid. It will keep changing. Like the AI revolution is not a one-time event. It's not like we now have the big AI revolution. We'll have a few years, very rough years, until finally there is a new equilibrium and everything settles down. No, AI is nowhere near its full potential. This revolution is just beginning. So we will see very big changes in the labor market, in the job market, in the next 5 years, even bigger changes in 15 years, even bigger changes in 30 years, as AI becomes more and more intelligent and replaces humans in more and more tasks. So people will need to constantly retrain and reinvent themselves and change jobs. And the big question is, or two questions. First of all, who is going to finance all this retraining? And who is going to support people while they are in transition? Like, I lost my old job to an AI. There is a new job, but I need like 6 months or 1 year to retrain. Who is going to support me in the meantime? And it's not just financial support. Even more important is psychological support, because it's going to be a very stressful world. You know, change is stressful. And having to change again and again throughout your life, you cannot rely on just, okay, now I know, now I have the knowledge that will keep me throughout my life, now I have the profession, the job, I will do this until I'm old. This is gone. You have to change again and again. It's very stressful. So I think we'll also need much more investment in mental health. We already saw it also with COVID, that it's very important to remember the mental aspects of such big crisis. That it's easy for people to focus on just the material conditions, but taking care of people's mental health is equally important. So I think in the coming years, governments will need to step in to provide both a kind of new education system for adults, so they can keep learning and changing throughout their lives, and also a much more robust mental health system to support people in very stressful times.
저는 광주에서 올라온 지금 AI 업계에서 일하고 있는 이제 사람입니다. 교수님 정말 뵙고 싶었고 우리 대표님 건강해 보이셔서 너무 다행입니다. 방금 말씀하신 것 중에 이제 산업사회가 농경사회에서 산업사회로 진행할 때 많은 어떤 저항이 있었고 두려움도 있었고 불안도 있었지만 결국에는 그게 맞았다. 이게 인간에게 유익이 되었다라고 해서 맞았다라고 판단하셨는데, 그러면 우리가 수렵생활, 채집생활에서 농경사회로, 농경사회 산업사회로, 다시 산업사회로 AI 시대를 바라보고 있는데, 그러면 교수님께서는 AI 시대가 결국에는 아주 시간이 지난 뒤에 맞았다, 인류에게 유익했다, 도움이 됐다라고 이렇게 생각하시는지 하나 묻고 싶고요. 지금 생각에서 AI가 없어서 우리는 되게 편하게 살아가고 있거든요. 근데 그럼에도 불구하고 좀 더 편한 세상을 살기 위해서 AI를 꿈꾸고 있는데 그런 판단이 현 시기에 적절한지 질문 드립니다.
It depends on the decisions we make in the coming years. If we make the right decisions, then it could be the best invention in history. If we make the wrong decisions, maybe we don't have any future at all. Because then this technology is much more powerful than anything we've created before. You know, even if you think about atom bomb, an atom bomb cannot make decisions by itself, and it cannot invent, like the atom bomb couldn't invent the hydrogen bomb. AI can make decisions, and AI can invent new weapons, and AI can even invent new and better AIs. If it escapes our control, and we didn't build it right, and we didn't have safety mechanism, it could actually destroy human civilization. So again, it's a question of making the right choice in the next few years, and I can't predict what choices people will make. We are having this conversation exactly in order to raise the awareness of people before it's too late. And this is why I'm also very happy to do it with a politician and in a parliamentarian setting, because if only people in the university talk about it, or only people in the, I don't know, Silicon Valley talk about it, it's not enough. We need all the citizens, and we need the politicians to understand that this is maybe the biggest issue of our life, and we need to make wise and good decisions quickly.
네, 한 분 더 받아볼게요.